Good morning, everybody. Um, Everybody out there in Facebook and YouTube, and welcome back after a long weekend. It feels like a very long weekend um, away. Michelle will be here shortly. She just inboxed me, so she'll run on CPT. You know what I'm saying? So uh, that's how we always roll. CPT. We were late with Too Strong. We're gonna be late here too, but not me. I'm not gonna be late. I'm gonna let them be late, not me. Um, Hopefully, y'all had a good weekend. Um, Before she gets here, I'll give you an update. The wife landed on um, Saturday early morning, like 12 o'clock, 12:30 her time. So it would be about 8:30 my time. Um, Made it down there just fine. And she called me. She said everything was good. And then the phone disconnected. And then I get woken up a few hours later saying that she couldn't find her phone. She called from her friend's phone, and now she's lost her phone. So she's without um, all of her contact stuff. And the biggest problem is that all our bank stuff is on that phone too. So we tried to get her as much as it, negated as possible. But it, it, if someone finds it, we could have a problem. So I'll keep you updated on that. Anyway, in either case, it's problematic. So um, keep that it turns up. As much as we block the number and all that stuff, I'd much rather have the hardware in my hand so she can boot it and make sure no one's actually gotten our stuff. So that'd be good. In any case, today's purpose for the show today is to get an update from Michelle. And yeah, it is for what's going on with her and Mr. Jakes and Cora and all that stuff. But I really want to know where she's at walk wise. So that's what I'm really trying to get to. The crux of the matter is on the walk. Let me just let her know something here. I want to make sure she understands. Make sure she has the right room. Yep, she has the right room. Okay, good. Now, yeah. Trust me, I've it's quite an interesting dilemma. Um, it's angering if you let it, and it's at the least, it's disconcerting. Um, they like to talk about doing their prophets no harm and their anointed no harm, but they have no problem doing children harm. That's that's kind of it's kind of weird that you have no problem damaging a child's psyche by endangering the relationship between him and his actual mother, but you have all kinds of issues you want to talk about otherwise. And I don't understand that. Like that makes zero sense. Makes zero sense to me. I think she be here though. She here. Yeah, wait till I see her camera. You, I can
Yeah.
hear you. I can't see you though.
Okay, give me 1 second.
One time's up.
I gotta plug my phone up.
As long as it's not an Obama phone, we good.
It's not.
As long as it's not no Obama phone. In
No.
either case, folks, welcome Michelle. At least her voice. When you see her face, it'll be even better. But welcome her to the show. She's finally here. And as soon as she gets her camera up, I'll ask a question because I want to see exactly what her reaction to my questions are.
Oh my God.
Gonna be some rough questions. I got some hard headed questions for you.
Okay, that's fine.
And you better have some answers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I always have answers.
Yeah, there may be the wrong ones, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh well, it's gonna be the truth.
Okay. Hey, there you go. See, that's the answer. That's the answer right there. That's what we would tell people. You don't have to like the answer. It's a true one, though. So
It's definitely a true one. You might not like it, but
the truth ain't supposed to be liked. It's just supposed to be true.
okay, somebody.
All right.
Okay, give me 1 second. I think I can put it up right here.
Are you Gen X or Gen Z?
I don't know. I was
You're
born
in
in.
the mid. You're in the tail end of Gen X, aren't you?
I guess so. I was born in '89.
Yeah. So you're in the tail, very, very tail end of Gen X. I think Gen X ends in '88.
Oh,
You
oh,
might be a premillennial.
oh! Don't say that, because
Yeah, you might be like Microsoft ME. You don't functionally really work, but you're still part of Microsoft.
yeah,
How are you?
I'm okay.
How was the weekend? Did I see right? Did you actually get some visitation?
No, everybody think that's Jason because my kids they do look alike. That's
Well, if they look like mama, they got to look the same.
they
So
okay somebody. But no, that's Liam, my youngest son.
okay.
He plays flag football, and they made it all the way to the game before the championship, so they got to play at the Cowboy Stadium. And
Mm,
he scored a couple touchdowns. The one big touchdown he scored was a pick six touchdown. So I might have a future pro bowler on my hand.
hey, that's my 13-year-old too, man. Like my
He,
13-year-old is 6 foot already.
yeah, oh Lord Jesus, that's
Yeah,
how like my 16-year old. She's 5'11".
yeah. He a big dude. Like he big for no reason. Like he don't even work out yet. He's just that big. So he truck people all the time. So I understand that too. I no now I thought like something looked, but I was like, did she? That'd be a good thing. But it's I hold my hope out too much. Um,
That was Liam.
okay.
That was Liam. That was the youngest of the clan.
So here we ready for the hard hitting questions now.
Yeah, come on, bring it.
Okay, bring she said, bring it.
I'm gonna tell the truth.
You ain't got nothing I can't answer. Okay, so the last time we spoke on this one, I'm not talking about Too Strong. That's a whole nother kettle of fish.
Mhm.
The last time we spoke on this channel, we had gone through a little bit of your story because I don't think anyone at the time on my platform had heard it, but um, with the issues with your son Cora and Mr. Jakes and all that mess, and we kind of
Mhm.
covered. If you guys want to get a more robust view into that, go check out the one we did with her on Too Strong. But the question I had was, how has all of this since we last spoke um, either hindered or helped your walk, your spiritual walk? Because um, stress like this has a tendency to push us away as instead of to sometimes.
Mhm.
And so I didn't know whether or not since our last conversation, where have you found yourself heading to or being?
Um, I haven't talked to God as much as I have
Mm-hmm.
since our last interview. Because from 2018 until 2022, I was very angry
Mm-hmm.
with God. Um, I took somewhat of a spiritual journey with different people say religions, but I say people's different beliefs. And it wasn't really until I did the interview with you that I sat down and said, okay, I'm just about to have a serious and honest conversation with God and allow God to speak back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that first conversation was really hard. Um, I was in my room, my kids were gone, and that particular day, I woke up and I was just, it was one of those sad days, right? And I was sitting in my bed. I had been in my bed all day without the TV on, just in the room, no lights, no nothing. And I said, okay, I can't keep going on like this. I kept replaying that interview over and over and over again. And so I knelt down on the side of my bed and I really didn't know what to say because I was filled with so much anger and so
Mm-hmm.
much grief. And I just began to cry. I remember being told that God hears tears. And I began to cry. The crying turned to wailing. Um, the wailing turned to praying. The praying turned into a spiritual experience. And from that day forward, I pray without ceasing for real. I'm praying right now in my head. It just really brought me back to the path that I was on before all of this happened, and have really helped me understand the true essence of the saying, if God be for me, who can be against me?
Hmm. I remember telling you that the one person that you need in your corner was the one person you were angry with.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad to hear that you kind of let him be your ring man, because when you get cut, he's probably the best cut man too, because he gonna
Mhm.
put you back in the fight. Now it's not like he gonna fight necessarily for you. The fight is gonna be there, and you just got to implement what he put in you to fight with. Um, has it been a troublesome thing for you to turn this issue with Jason over to God? Not just like, and when I say that, I mean, yeah, we want the court system to do its job, and we want lawyers to get this done, and we want that. What is your viewpoint at this juncture of God's role in what you're doing to get Jason back? That
um
you think, anyway.
that he's leading, and I have to follow his footsteps, and I have to trust what he's doing, and I have to be in sync to hear, so that I know how to move, so that I know when to speak and when not to speak. It's all him. It's all God. It's not me. I'm just a vessel.
Do you find yourself more patient with
I'm
things now?
Because it's a lot.
It is a lot to handle. You got your plate full like Thanksgiving dinner at this
It's a
point.
lot, and then it's just even a lot with when she tries to say things.
To get you
It's a
riled up,
lot
right?
to having to call Jason every day and not getting an answer and not getting a response. I don't come. She tries to paint this picture like I just come to social media and tell everything, and that's not the case. That's not true. I've had to learn how to use wisdom and know what to share and what not to share, because when I get pissed off, I just be wanting to go off and just let it rip. But I've now understand that you put what's necessary.
Hmm.
You say what's necessary, and you save the rest for court. And so that has been a big struggle of mine, because um see, I gotta think so I can use my words right. That has
Hey,
been,
that's called measured patience, is what that is. That's
yes,
good.
I've definitely learned patience, but that has been the biggest thing, because when you are constantly being lied on, and when you are constantly somebody's constantly playing in your face, when somebody is constantly dangling the child that you gave carried and gave birth to, when nobody was there, when someone is constantly doing that, it could send you over the edge,
Hmm.
right? But you have to have patience, and you have to have wisdom, and you have to seek God for those two things. When I was starting my journey back with God, it led me to Solomon and how he asked for wisdom. And I said, okay, God, give me wisdom. If you don't give me anything else, give me wisdom to know how to not only navigate my life and my motherhood and my sisterhood and my daughterhood and my friendhood, but give me wisdom how to navigate this issue with my son and bringing him home.
Hmm.
So it has definitely um, not been easy, but um, I feel God every day. And that has been such a safe space and place for me in this time.
Um, So I can tell there's a now. I didn't say this the first interview, but I will say it in the second interview. Um, you see, and this, and people can tell me if I'm wrong, and you can go back and watch for yourself. Okay, audience members, that this is just my observation. When you did the first interview, you came with a very dark blanket on you.
Mhm.
They had this. I don't know what it was, but it felt very hidden,
Mhm.
or very subdued. But you also had something dark on you. I don't know. I'm not saying a demon possession or anything like that. I'm just saying that could have been the anger just pervading your entire being. I could, but there was something that was heavy. I don't see that today, which is good. That's a very good thing. There's a much lighter feel to you, um, and that's not a vibe thing. That's an actual. You can tell when people have had an encounter, when
Mhm.
you've given something that you've been holding on to back to him and just let him get rid of it. Um, in your estimation, and I'm going to lean a lot on your walk for this interview, just so you know. I know other people are talking about the situation with the kid, but this all had to me. This all seemed tied into it.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think is going to be the hardest part of not getting, but having Jason back? Because you're looking at what has it been, 6 years, 7 years? Yeah,
Mhm.
since he's been a part of the family and not separated. What do you foresee as being the biggest issue when he gets back to you?
The trauma. I mean, that goes without really saying.
That's what, yeah, yeah.
The trauma. The biggest issue is going to be the trauma. And people like to say, whatever, you're not thinking about him. He's been there this whole time. I'm very well aware of the time. I'm very well aware of how long he's been there. I'm very well aware of what what it's going to take, and I'm also very well aware that that trauma is going to be the biggest thing, because we have to understand that the life that he has been in was the life that was forced, and and I think that would be the biggest issue. It's the trauma, it's the confusion,
Mm.
and those things were placed in his life because of Cora. The narrative that she gave to him before he even talked to me in 7 years. Um, the things that she has projected him to believe before he even spoken to me in 7 years. The things that she has imparted into him, and of that nature. And let me just say this: everybody is not all bad, right? Um, what she did was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and what she did deserves justice. Um, but my child is smart. He's a very upstanding young man. He is respectful. He is kind. Um, he is sweet, and he's loving. And I can say in part that probably has something to do with how he has been raised. See, because the thing about me is, I don't, just because I have a strife with you or I have anger with you, I'm not gonna not see the other side, right?
Right, right.
But I also know that he is that way because of the DNA that's in his body. I also know that he is that way because of the blood that runs through his veins. And that DNA and that blood does not come from Cora. And it
Mm-hmm.
does not come from Brandon, and it does not come from the Jace. It comes from me. So I believe that my son's character is a true example of his mother, of his father,
Mm-hmm.
of his family,
His real family.
his real family.
Yeah. I can say this much: a child's trauma, and I speak this from the outside looking in from my eldest. because he's my stepkid, right? But you look at him now and you think that's mine. He looks just like me. He behaves just like me. He's me, just not me. And when I met him, he was about 7 or 8 years old, and he had been dealing with a father that abandoned him. So he had this immense anger that he had to work through, and he never wanted to let another person in because doing that could mean that they would leave. But he had this forgiving bone in his body, but it wasn't from his dad's side. Like you said, his mother is very much like that. And but his anger is the biggest thing I found I had to work with, because he felt as though the people that should have been in his corner were not. The advantage you have is that he can't say that about you, because you've
Mm-hmm.
really tried to get and be involved, and he can see that, not only whether or not Cora tries to hide it, but you have record of it too. So I'll give you this bit of hope, is that the track record he has is a good one to look back and see that you've been always there. And you won't have much hard work to do to get him to bring out the side of him that is not traumatized. I think the biggest trauma he's going to have is reconciling you as the mom and not Cora as mom. And I don't even know if he'll had that big of a problem, because, like you said, there's something that will be speaking to his soul because he came out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do
It's
your
a
other
bond that
children speak to him?
try to sever, but it's a bond that can't be
It
severed.
can't be severed, right? Do your other children speak to him, or when you had the chance, have they ever spoken to him? They know about
Yeah,
him? Yeah.
she, of course, they are the ones who won't let you forget about Jason. um, dare me not say, and Lord cover Jason. They're gonna speak up in prayer time. Lord cover Jason, our brother. They always have him on the tip of their tongues and on their lips. They do not um forget their brother. Even the child, the stillborn child that I had, his name is Jadion. Um, they even say his name. They're siblings. They're bonded. They were around each other. They knew each other, and they don't forget their brother. Sometimes they cry because they can't speak with him, and all of a sudden they were speaking with him and playing Roblox with him and things of that nature, and then it was just taken away from them. And that's the thing that I don't think resonates with Corey. Is not just trauma with Jason, it's trauma with Cree, it's trauma with Anaya, it's trauma with Liam, it's trauma with Jadon, it's trauma between the children because you have alienated and isolated their brother. Would it be different if they didn't know him, if they hadn't had a relationship with him, knew nothing about him? Probably so, but that's not the case. So um it's trauma with my mom. It's trauma with my sister. It's trauma with my brother. That's their nephew. With my aunts. It's just nobody forgets Jason. Nobody forgets Jason.
You said something, and I want your honest opinion as to whether you believe what you said. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to repeat what you say, and I want you to honestly tell me if you believe what you said.
Okay.
Now, saying it because you know that it's a good thing and right thing to say, or a pleasant thing to say, is not the same as a true thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? One
Absolutely.
could be avoiding conflict, and one could be,
This
okay?
is who it is.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. You said you don't think that Cora understands what she's doing. Do you honestly believe that?
I honestly believe when I say that she doesn't understand what she doing, I don't believe she understands the depths of what she's doing. I believe that she's so caught up in her own senile, crazy mind that she now believes. See, when you start believing the lies that you have told and been living, it's like a truth to you, right? It's now your truth, even though it's a lie. And I don't think Cora is mentally stable and in her right mind to fully know what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
No, no, it's not the only thing that makes sense. Okay, hear
I
me
mean,
out.
it's not the only thing that makes sense. It's just like when you try to make sense of what she's doing, it's like you can't possibly know the depths, or you do know the depths and you just don't care.
No, and I think okay. So now we're getting somewhere. Now
You
we're
know,
getting somewhere. So let me ask you the secondary question. All right, let me ask you the secondary question. When you function in a location where you say that logic is your friend, this is where the Jake's family say they operate because God is a very logical human, very logical person. God is very logical. Okay. Do you really think you can ascribe to them the not knowing what they're doing tab?
I guess probably not. Because if they operated in logic, you can't be operating in logic
Okay,
because
but to them
logic,
it's logic, right? But
but
here's
it's
why I'm
not logic.
no, but it is logic on the devil's side.
Okay.
You see, it's very logical because when you don't, here's the thing about it. And this is one thing I've realized about these these mega pastors. The reason why it's become so hard for us to understand what they're doing is because we're applying God's logic to their ministry when they because they say it's about God.
Right.
But when you actually take that label off of them and you put the filter of the devil over them, you'll see a perfect lined up match for his kingdom in their behavior. It's completely aligning with what the devil wants: division, trauma, pain, anger, rage, separation. All of that is part of the devil's kingdom, not God's kingdom.
Right.
I think we filter them through the eyes of God simply because that's what they say they are, but you have to understand that's not where they're coming from, like at all.
Right.
Um, so when you say that you don't believe that she understands, I think she fully understands who she's working for and what she's working toward. The aftermath and the fallout, that's inconsequential to her.
Right.
You see, because in both her and her father, you look at Sarah, the same, all of them are the same thing. They have this affinity to look at themselves as though they are more than the person that they harm.
Oh yes, that is
Okay,
true.
good. So
They
with that being
they
the
will
case, why
sit
would they
there.
care
No,
about your
no,
feelings? They don't have
they,
to.
you're right about that because they try to act like they try to act like they are leveled with you. That's how they present it at first. Like they're no more better just because they have this and have that. But when you really get into the thick of things, they think that they are above you.
Hmm.
They handle you as such. If you're not in the same bracket as them, they treat you different. If you're not in the same weight class as them, the same upbringing as them, the same process that they think, they treat you like you're a nobody. Absolutely.
Um, Remind them that you're David, though.
Oh, I did. Did you see the live I did yesterday?
I've been tired of trying to figure out the wife situation back home.
How God works that you didn't even see that live? And
Mm-mm.
that live, I said, you think that you are David and I am Goliath. But in reality, in
You are
actuality,
David.
you are Goliath. And you think I have thrown a stone.
You ain't seen the pebble yet.
I'm like
You,
Eddie,
you ain't gonna see it coming either. You're just gonna hit you.
you ain't gonna see it coming. So keep talking. And it was interesting to me that she sent that essay to somebody that she don't even know. Um, and I just don't that was just like, why would she do that? But then I thought about who her father was.
Mm-hmm.
And the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Y'all will deny, 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 deny. Y'all will make it about everybody else. Y'all will put the blame on everybody else instead of owning what you've done and what you are doing. You will continue to try to grasp at anything to cover it up or to make it seem like I'm crazy and the other women that have came forth are crazy and the other people that are speaking out are crazy. But y'all did what y'all did
Mm-hmm.
and now you're caught. and it is what it is.
Do you foresee the issue with the father being affecting anything to do with what's might or might not happen with Jason? If
But
there's a massive fallout with Jake's with TD over this puff stuff and this the gay activity and stuff, if it finally comes to a head with him, do you think that will affect or have any effect on the you getting back Jason in your life
I think it would accelerate it.
to get him back?
Get it back.
Yeah.
I think it would accelerate it because you got to think about it. When the head falls, the whole body falls.
Mm-hmm.
When the head is killed, when the head and the heart is killed, everything is a domino effect.
Yeah. Rot starts
Uh,
to happen.
once those skeletons are brought, we all got skeletons, but everybody's skeletons ain't the same, right?
Some still got rotten flesh on them.
So
So
you hear me? And so when that happens to the head, the whole body, it takes effect to the whole body. So I mean, I think that it will accelerate it. Because
well.
what happens is you start trying to scram to tie up loose ends. You start trying to make
Mm-hmm.
ends. You start trying to get things together, trying to save face in some type of regard. So wherever you feel like you can make amends, you start to try to do that. And that's why I said, Corey, you should have shut your tail up. You shouldn't have said nothing to nobody. You should have kept going how you was going. Just keep watching or doing whatever. But the fact that you said something, and not only did you say something, but you lied in saying what you said.
Well,
Like you shouldn't have done that. Just like
well,
Bishop shouldn't have got on the pulpit and said you shouldn't have said nothing.
you said too that he had given her a position in order to raise income, right? Remember you told us that. I think if he goes down, there goes that position.
There goes that, absolutely.
And with that position gone,
There goes the money.
there goes the money. And now
There,
she no longer has the footing she supposedly have.
there it goes. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand why TD Jakes and Sarita Jakes would stand behind her, knowing that they didn't believe her, knowing that it was wrong. And the only thing that I could come up with was, what does Cora have on them? Or what does Cora have on TD Jakes that he will be so fine and content with not putting his daughter in her place and making her do the right thing?
Well, I would
But
answer that, but people gonna say I'm speculating.
I mean, I know the answer, but but
She knows one of two things, okay, or maybe both. Here's what she could know. She could easily know what he does in the back times of his ministry.
absolutely.
Um, but the other thing I think is possible, and y'all can hate me for saying this or not. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's what I believe. Okay. I believe that Mr. Jakes has been inappropriate with his kids.
Hmm.
I believe that. When I look at his son, okay, I'm just saying, there are certain tells, there are certain tells, and I just see a few of them, whether it's provable or not. I'm giving my opinion. These are my opinions. These are not a statement of fact. I am not saying this to say it is true. I am saying it's what I believe, and I have that right to believe what I want to believe and to think how I want to think. So, Mr. Jakes, if you're seeing this and you're thinking I'm defaming you, I don't care. I'm giving my opinion, and I can do that. So now,
Well,
whether both happen or
yeah,
not, I
it can
don't know.
be or it can be a fact, because I remember when I was first going to court for Jason, I went over to Monet's house, and
Hmm.
they informed me that she had all of Bishop's passwords, his passwords to his iClouds and his emails, and she obtained those from Cora.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's not something I'm making up. That's not something I think or allege. That is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Hmm.
It often
Um,
wonder, who is Brandon taking the fall for?
and this is what I think. So those situations with the men that come around is also for me a sign. When you try to keep the ones that could do something to affect you, males especially, you try and emasculate them. Which, if you look at Sarah's husband,
Mhm.
Beta, and then they got rid of Chorus. So if you look at how the system works, and then your son is arrested for indecent exposure, and he's acting the same way that somebody who has been traumatized by certain activities behaves, and then you have your child or others who may have look, either they've endured it or they saw him do it and they couldn't say anything, and now you have no more power because now your father's a massive powerhouse. They ain't gonna believe you. Now you already have what you want, and I think this is what. Now this is my theory. Let's say she doesn't get touched by her dad, but the son did, because TD Jakes has an affinity for young boys or males. Let's say he couldn't keep his hand off his kid. The kid is now suffering the trauma. Your daughter's witnessed it, or at least Cora did. Cora now tells you, if you want me to be silent, this is what I need from you. I need your influence to get that kid.
Mhm.
He may not want to give you Jason, but he has to now because he can't afford to have what he did to his son get out, much less what he did with other men at these P. Diddy parties out as well. So now you have to have blackmail involved in this. You have to silence your kid somehow. And the best way to do it is to help in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And she saw a need. She wanted your kid and she got it. And he did what he had to do with his influence peddling. And we're at where we're at now. Now, again, this is just a fleshed out theory to me. I don't know whether it's true, but when I look at how certain people behave, and I look at how headstrong Cora is and how outlandish her behavior is with this in regard to this, she seems untouchable. In
Mhm.
her mind, you can't do anything to her because of who her daddy is. The reason I asked if you think this issue with her father is going to affect is because it's not only going to affect you getting your kid back, but I think it will be the opening of a door for Cora's change too. I'm not sure that why she's doing what she's doing. I think she knows. Not, don't get me wrong. I think she knows. But I think anger and hurt on her end is also what's causing her behavior, and it's towards her father. Um, and I think all of this coming down on his head will give her some reprieve to be free from that. And you might actually see quite a switch in personality in Cora after all this is all said and done. That's just my theory on it. I don't know whether it's true. I can hope that, because I really do think that she needs to turn around. Um, what she's doing is quite insane to me. Definitely not of God. And so, if this is something that's going to eventually crack open the Kraken's lair, we might see some pretty crazy stuff coming out of that theory.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
told, she told the girl, uh, Miss Dawn Victory, that the reason why she took him out of my life again is because of me publicly speaking about the situation.
Hmm.
But then doubled back and said that I'm causing trauma to him. And I was flabbergasted because it's like, you don't remember when you came onto my live and you told me that you was showing Jason my lives? Because I know in the video where you say that Jason doesn't have access to the internet. I have the video. In fact, you took his TikTok account that he made, you took it down because you was unaware that he was on the internet. So if Jason is listening to my lives, if Jason is hearing me speak about anything, it's because you're showing him. And you're showing him, but you're also putting your narrative on it to him.
Hmm.
Not listening um with a sound heart and open ears and a sound mind. He's listening with your direction and narrative of what I'm speaking about, which is manipulation.
Right, right. And that's a tough thing to work past when you don't have the ability to counter it in his ear and head. But I will say this: you have a bond that Cora will never have, and that is one of, like you said, actual flesh, blood, DNA. There is a fabric woven into him that cannot be separated. The same thing, even in this situation with my son and his dad, as much as his father wants to try and reconnect, he doesn't have the ability to, like, emotionally to do it. And when my son says, "All right, you're there. I get who you are and understand who you are, but you've traumatized me enough that I'm not gonna give you the same homage as I do someone else." And I'm not saying that a child should, but the connection with his mother, he does not blame her anymore for anything that happens.
Mhm.
Like, he's gone past that because he's been able to now see in real time what her goals were. She never bad talked the father. She never talked ill about him. She gave him the room to do what he needed to do. And my eldest son is now in a position where he could see and decipher right, wrong, who's for and against. And I think you'll have that good thing happen with Jason because, like you said, he does have a certain heart about him, um, and I think that will be preserved if you pray for that, especially. Um, I want, if you can, Dion, if you can send me a link to that, if you can send me a link to him saying that, if it's possible, I'll pay you because I want to see that so bad. I want to see that. I want to see that badly. If he called himself Moses, hey, if he is Moses, then he's predicting that he won't make it to the promised land. That's okay. We kind of knew he won't make it anyway, so we kind of knew that. So here's my here's my final question.
Bishop said
Um,
Moses.
what?
Bishop said he was Moses.
Yeah, apparently.
Child. Not standing on holy ground, which is supposed to be the pulpit, speaking about allegations.
Yeah, he different. I'm gonna give him that. Jake's is different. Um, so, so here's my final question for you, and it's not a difficult one. Um, where do you see your walk, your actual spiritual walk with God, with all this leading you to? Because I'll tell you what I'll see after you answer the question.
Like an angel. That's the best metaphor I can describe that it will be. So close to him, like the angels that sit beside him.
Okay. Now, that's good. That's a good place to be. But I think this is just me. I don't just take this with a grain of salt. Um, you have a ministry, and I'm not talking about people just calm yourself down. I'm not telling people that she's gonna have a church and all that. Just hear me out, please. Okay. I know people gonna say, "What?" No, just hear
That,
me out.
in that sense, I feel like I'm going to. I feel like I am the vessel being used
Yes.
to bring um people out of the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am the vessel being used to overflood the masses with truth of who God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am the vessel um being used for the true essence of God be for you, who can be against you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm the vessel being used that if you walk in truth and stand in truth and stand with God, um, that his glory will be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am the voice for a lot of women, a lot of mothers, and some fathers, because let's not get it twisted. There are fathers out here who are being alienated and taken from their children. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
not just mothers, but I feel like I am a voice that is going to rise up a nation that says no more.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how I didn't want to accept it at first because I'm like, I ain't finna be preaching and doing all that there. So
And it's not even about the
yeah,
preaching. Here, your story is so
I,
profound.
I
It is
had
so profound.
thoughts, Mr.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah. Look.
I
Okay. So here's where I was going. Right.
had to understand that it's not preaching;
Yeah. Yeah.
it's teaching.
Right. So here's where I think you're gonna end up. This is where I think. I just think. Okay. Um, you're a prime lesson in two things: where anger won't get you, and where forgiveness will.
Mm,
Okay.
absolutely.
Um, Anger kept you in a location where you wouldn't even implement the one solve that you had. And when you realize that that was finally not going to work and you turned it over to God, everything started to move. But I think you're going to be the voice of for people who they want results, but they won't get out the way.
Right.
And you have both a story of what it looks like to not relinquish control and to relinquish control and see the two different people that you can be with God on your side and you with God versus people against you and no God on your side.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know necessarily that it will be the way people would normally think of a ministry setup. I think your story alone is going to show people that if you have any issue, regardless of how big or how small, the only one that can fix all of it is God Himself, and He's promised to fix things. But you have to understand that relinquishing your control over it is number one, and you have that in spades where you can show literally on camera the transition of trying to fight Him and submitting.
Hmm.
Your story is going to be showing people what it's like to actually submit to the will of God and watch Him do work on your behalf. And that I mean, some people think that God's just going to wipe out the enemy. That no, He could also give you peace. So that's why He set a table in the presence of your enemies. He doesn't pull you away from your enemies to set up the table. The table is there in the middle of all your crap, in the middle of all the mess, in the middle of all the rage of people coming at you. The table is set. You just got to go sit down.
Correct.
That's all you got to do is go sit down, and there's food there, and there's still enemies all around. They never took you out of that. And I think you're a prime example of what it means to finally, when He invites you to come sit down, leaving the rage behind and sitting down at a table represented for you to be at peace with the one that who set the table. Um, and I see you reaching a whole lot, like you said, some men too, but I've found that there are a lot of women who are dealing with anger, um, and they operate in one of two ways: your way or Cora's way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can reach both.
Hmm.
Um, in Cora, in the way Cora behaves, where they create the drama, and there are some people trying to negate the trauma, and there are women that operate in both ways. And I think you have the perfect middle ground to work both mindsets out of that location into a position that if you don't deal with God one on one, you're not going to get this problem figured out, because the only reason you have this problem is because you're not dealing with God one on one. You found that out firsthand. Um, and I commend you for having to sit down with them, because that's the hardest part of the entire walk, is sitting down and realizing I have to
It was
confess this to Him.
so hard.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
so hard because you're filled with so many different emotions and you're so angry and you're like, God, how can you allow this to happen to me? You're supposed to see all and know all. You're supposed to cover and protect and all this, but how can He cover and protect if you're not walking with Him?
Hmm.
How can He cover and protect when you have strayed away because of anger, because of what another person's flesh has done to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to take your sorrow and you're supposed to take your pain and give it to him so that he can come in and renew in you the right mind, heart, and spirit. And if you're not giving those things to him and you're harboring those things on the inside, it's hard for him to do the work that he does.
Right.
That
Right.
was a hard thing. And it wasn't just anger built up for Jason that I had to let go. It's anger because you took my dad when I was 10 years old. It's anger because the path that I was on and now I'm on this path. It's anger because, um me and my mom haven't had the best of relationship. It's so much anger, but in all the anger I had to sit down and take accountability for whatever part that I played, or because God gives free will. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
sport that I went off of, whichever way that I went that wasn't in alignment with God. And after I took that accountability and then focused on, okay, this is what I'm really angry with. Okay, so now I need to give this back to him and not only ask for forgiveness for me, harboring things against him, but to um help me mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And that is the only way that I really got out of that dark place.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because it's hard. It's hard when you are in this, what it seems like the bottom of the pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hard because you don't see a light, you don't see any hope, you don't see anything. All you see is darkness, all you feel is darkness, all you're walking around with is darkness, all that's hovering over you is darkness. And it's so hard to be in that space and then become vulnerable to God, because it's easier to hold on to the dark matter than to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
It becomes a comfort.
it becomes a comfort.
Yeah.
And it's so scary, like that process of getting on my knees, praying every day, starting with a little bit of prayer every day, to when I just full blown out laid out and just cried and sobbed with snot coming out of my nose, and just I kept repeating over and over again, Lord, I give it to you. Lord, I give it to you. I can't handle it. I can't take it. I can't deal with it. I can't do it. Lord, I give it to you. And as I give it to you, I need you to direct me, direct my foot, direct my mouth, direct my thoughts. And I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I still speak out of anger because I have triggers just like any other human being, but I'm far much better than I was 2 years ago.
Indeed. Fully agree. So to end, we're gonna take a travel down memory lane real quick. And I want people to see the difference. Okay. And the reason I'm playing this is for the difference.
Okay.
And the difference between in having talked to God. Now hear me out. Having spoken to God about your anger, what happens after versus not talking to him about your anger, but holding on to it. Okay. Now y'all see what I'm gonna do this real quick. So you see her? All right, good. Now you saw lightness. Okay. All right. Let's take a listen.
Oh, wow. That is so long.
How is your current walk with God?
Mm,
Now you see the face. You see, and I put it in black and white to emphasize the expression on her face. Because watch. How would you describe it in 3 words?
Mm.
You can be as frank as you want, Michelle. It's fine. You can let it go too.
I don't even know how to describe it in 3 words. It's been very testing. Um, I almost gave up, and I was so mad at God for a long time.
It is a massive difference between who you were and who you are now. And the only change that happened was God.
I was so heavy.
Heavy, 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 heavy. And this is why I keep telling people I don't care about your pastor. I don't care about your church. I don't care about none. If you don't talk, encounter one on one God, I don't care how often you go to church. I don't care who your pastor is. I don't care how many. I don't care. It ain't going to change nothing. All they're going to do is make you stop growing and depend on them. Until you have that one on one, I keep telling people go back to the author. If you don't go back to the author, you're not going to come out at all. And I commend you for taking that step, because some people will say, yeah, yeah, I got to go talk to him, and they never go talk to him. You took the next step of in having the realization that you need to, and you went and did it. As hard as it was, I can probably tell you right now, it was probably the best decision you ever made.
It was. It's like your thoughts are so much clearer. Your vision is so much clearer. Your walk is so much,
It's easy.
even with the bumps.
Yeah, still easy.
Because had not I did that, I don't think that when I went to see Jason in May of last year, that I would have been able to hold myself in my composure, entering into what I considered the lion's den.
Hmm.
And what's funny is I oftentimes go back and listen to interviews I've done, because sometimes when you're in the moment, you don't really hear. And so with that particular interview, I did not go back and listen to it because it was like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not going there, until that day. I was sitting in that bed. I picked up my phone and I said in my head, I said, what did he say? And I went back and I looked at that video, and then that's where it started. That's when I started talking to God. I honestly don't think if I didn't ever come on your platform, I probably would still be in that space. This has truly been the only platform where I'm sorry, I'm about to cry. Most platforms just want to hear the story, right?
Hmm.
They're more interested in what was done to me, um, versus the spiritual healing that I needed. And this platform gave that to me. Um, Even when I thought that it was okay for me to keep going how I was going, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, I'm crying.
That's okay.
Then I look back and I think about the goodness of the Lord and how He really kept me, even when I didn't want to be kept, in the realms and the bushes, as I call you all, my realms. I'm grateful that y'all not only saw the case, but y'all saw me. Y'all saw me outside of Jason, outside of being a mother, outside of what was done to me, what had been said to me, but y'all saw, you rather saw Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm truly grateful.
Um, there's a song I want to leave you guys with. I'm not going to play the song because I don't think I can find a good rendition enough of it that's short enough. But I want to read the song, and it's called "He Looked Beyond My Faults." It was written by Dottie Rambo a while
Mhm.
back now. We're talking about it's an old hymn, okay? And it says, "Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought me liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my faults and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous his grace that caught my failing and falling soul. He looked beyond my faults and saw my needs." And I think many people forget and they get caught up in who to follow.
You went out. You went out. I can't hear you.
Can
Okay.
you hear me now? Okay. Um, so a lot of people go to church and Christianity and all that stuff, and um, they go with the intention to call themselves a Christian. They don't go to encounter God, they go to call themselves a Christian. And we have to get to the point where we understand that we are in need of a savior. And man can't do it, church can't do it. That's a God thing. And the only way for you to encounter that is not through a preacher and not through the church, it's directly to God. You took the route that he said to take. Come to me. He didn't say, go talk to that guy over there. Come to me. He takes care of the rest. And I want to encourage people out there, if you don't learn anything else from Michelle's journey, learn this. You're not too far away that he can't reach you, and
Mm-hmm.
not too broken that he can't fix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. That is so true.
Remember that, and you'll be fine. Stop trying to listen to these people talking about a blessing coming in, a blessing, and you keep looking for blessing. He is the blessing.
Yep.
That's the blessing. If you don't see him as the blessing, nothing else will fulfill you because you keep going to him for stuff, stuff, stuff when he is the thing you should be going for.
Absolutely.
That's all. If I can leave anybody with anything, it's that. Stop trying to get blessings and stuff from God. Get God. Get God. That's the biggest one you'll have. I pray that
I'm a
Jason comes
living
back to you.
testimony to that.
Living testimony. Living testimony.
Yeah.
I pray that Jason comes back to you whole and happy, and I pray it soon. I pray for your continued walk, that you stay the course. And it's going to get harder because the devil knows that you're trying to evade him and he's going to keep putting obstacles in your way. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep your hands to your plow and let him keep pulling you where you need to be. Um, is there a link that you can give them that they can um, go to help you get what you need to get done?
Oh, I have a GoFundMe. I believe I posted it on my page. I will
Can you inbox it to me and I'll put it in the description when I
I
get done?
I have a GoFundMe for people that want to donate through GoFundMe. For people that want to donate with Cash App, it's Love in the First, and it's LOVEINTHEFIRST. Love in the First. Or if that doesn't work, we're working on trying to get the Zelle account back up. But if that doesn't work, I can send an invoice for the donation. You'll just have to email bringjasonhome21@gmail.com.
Okay. And I'll make sure I get all that info and in the description of this video after it's done. You will find it in the description so you can just go and click on those links once I have them. Um, thank you again for being here and for
Thank you.
giving God the time that He wanted with you. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that the progress has happened. For you guys who are um, still interested in trying to make sure everything still goes smoothly back home, because it doesn't want to go smoothly apparently, there are the links for any assistance that you want to give. It's not obligatory. That is completely between you and God. I keep telling you that. But if you need more info of what to pray for, inbox me at straighttalkmb@outlook.com, and I can give you a better rundown. Other than that, thank you again, Michelle. We will have to catch up again, and I think we're supposed to have another follow up on Too Strong at some point too, a part two. So we'll do that. Uh, we'll catch back up tomorrow. For you guys who don't know what's happening tomorrow, I have God of the Impossible, and then on Wednesday, why few find salvation. So those are the two topics coming up this week. And so we'll catch you guys there. Savage Patriots will be on today, so look for that as well. And Too Strong will be live tonight. So we'll catch you then. Wisdom calls to you from the streets, people. So please, please, please find wisdom.
Amen.
Peace.
Hold tight, dreams, for if dreams die.